Hello, 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 and welcome back to The Conversation Piece with your host, Akila. It's a wrap. Season 4, The Best of, Part 2. This next one I wrote right before the pandemonium, back in around 2019-ish. Yeah, the pandemonium. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, it's called What I Missed as a Kid. During this period of quarantine, one has all the time in the world for self-reflection. And I mean all the time in the world. Well, maybe not anymore because the world is ending. I mean, some of y'all out here acting a damn fool. I found some old photos recently from the 80s, and being a child of the 80s, the things I missed was like the cheesy pop music, like New Edition's Mr. Telephone Man. Don't remember it? Like the hit? Here you go. Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my line. Yeah. Did you pay the phone bill? Maybe the line was tapped. Maybe she moved. You dialed your baby's number. You get a click every time. Well, obviously, she didn't want to talk to you. What did you do to her? Get a hint. You got ghosted, bruh. What else do I miss? Breakdancing. Baby. Electric Boogaloo. I don't know how many times I saw that movie Breakin'. Remember the broom scene? How many brooms did you go through? And how many ass whoopings did you get afterwards? Brooms were expensive, especially the wooden ones. What else? Jane Fonda workout tapes. Now, this was my introduction to the hip thrust. Now, it was mildly sexual in nature, but Jane Fonda just wanted us to have firm buttocks. That's it. What else? Hairstyles, Jerry curls. How many cushions and couches were compromised during this period? And is this one of the reasons why our parents all of a sudden put plastic coverings for the couch? Like covered the whole couch. Remember the couch would be covered in plastic, but you weren't allowed to sit on it? What else? Big hair. Big hair was popular. Aquanet was probably the beginning of global warming, because you had white women, they sprayed like a whole can of hairspray just to get their hair to stand 6 feet in the air so it wouldn't blow in the wind. What else? Acid wash jeans, tie-dye shirts, neon everything, slap bracelets. Now, it looked like a ruler, and once you hit it against something, it would curl up. Now, the goal was to slap it against your wrist, but it hurt. So afterwards, you just slap everything but your wrist. Toys. The Easy Bake Oven. If your house accidentally burnt down because of an Easy Bake Oven, was it covered under an insurance policy? The Pogo Ball. Now, I know in my heart of hearts that this was invented to kill kids. It was a ball that had a plastic ring around it, and you placed your feet on opposite sides. But it didn't come with a helmet or instructions. So when you jumped up, gravity will bring you back down naturally. But if you got a rhythm going and you wanted to get off or stop, how? If you jumped sideways and you had no equilibrium, you could have messed up your hands, your face, everything. Everything? Everything. Looking back on life in contrast to today's society, there is a longing I feel for people who they want a sense of simplicity. Times did seem simpler back then, but we were kids. We weren't thinking about bills, jobs, but name anything in creation that doesn't go through adversity, that doesn't evolve or was meant to evolve. When you evolve, you grow. In this chaotic time of misinformation and anxiety, how do we cut through the static and get clarity? Together. As a human family, we've seen this before, but will we learn from history, from our past mistakes? Will we get it right for future generations? The optimist in me says yes. The cynic in me says probably not. The Muslim in me says only Allah knows. And the consumer capitalist in me says we better. And there better be toilet paper left. Stop shaking your head because you know you were laughing. You know you were smiling. I made you feel good. You're welcome. To hear more of that conversation and me acting like a damn fool, check out the episode What is Old is New for a podcast. Also leave me a message and tell me what you miss from your childhood. You can go to www.anchor.fm/Akila Lynch. Hit the message button, record your message, and hit send. I'm at a loss for words. I had a talk with a fellow writer and poet, Olivia Muhammad. But my voice for this interview was raw and I was in a weird headspace from the night before. I watched the Sandra Bullock movie, The Unforgivable, on Netflix, and the movie triggered me in a way I didn't see coming. I hadn't cried like that in a while, and it concerned me why I was so emotional. Maybe it was the fact that in the movie, Bullock's character was a woman recently released from prison and she needed to reintegrate herself back into society. And recently I volunteered as part of a homeless challenge back in late November 2021. And so I saw what people experience trying to just survive and the barriers that one has to jump to survive. And so, like I said, my voice was raw for this interview and my energy was kind of weird, but Olivia quickly put me at ease and calmly put my nerves to rest. I found her to be a patient and attentive listener with a gentle spirit.
You know, there's some things that are so obvious in this world that we know are happening, and it doesn't always need to be said. But I like to try to find a solution. You know, think that I'm finding a solution in what I'm writing. So if I say, well, the ozone, for instance, the ozone is in crisis. Everybody knows the ozone is having a problem, right? Everybody knows that natural disasters are on the rise. Okay, common knowledge. So at the end of it all, you know, and it may not be, and it's not a solution to the problem, of course, but it's again an eye opener, you know. And if the question is asked, well, why are all these things happening? Why this? Why that? You know, why is this world? And then we look at the things that are happening, okay, that are making people, you know, insane. That are making people, you know, go over the deep, you know, over the edge, or drink or do drugs or whatever it is they do. These are the things that are happening in our planet. So we just resort to the easy way out, I think, sometimes, some people, as opposed to trying to find a solution to these things. These are real things that are happening. And So, you know.
Okay. Would you mind sharing that one?
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Okay. 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 This one is called The Living Planet. The ozone is in crisis. Natural disasters are on the rise. Global warming looms on the horizon, and pollution fills our skies. A constant burning of fires. Oceans begin their swell. The earth will upheave its secrets of stories it longs to tell. A pandemic shadows the planet, hovering like a shroud, a pendulum swinging between breath and death, and man is not standing so proud. Nations are at a standstill. The threat of war taps at the door. The oppressed hope to find a safe place, but for most, there are no more. Human dignity is diminished. Gross encroachment on the rights of others. Protectors of the weak, some profess to be, yet hate still divides each other. Quell the injustice to humanity. Hear the hearts of those who cry. And as the world teeters on insanity, just look at the reasons why.
Wow. Since June 2021, Olivia Muhammad has been a featured writer in the Community Press newspaper in Fort Myers, Florida, where she has a monthly contribution in a poetry column titled The Poetry Corner. She also has a book of poetry available called Thoughtful Reflections and is currently at work on her second book of poetry. If you'd like to hear more of that conversation, check out the episode Writer's Block. The movie, The Platform. How do I even begin to describe the... Listen, Cece occasionally will recommend a movie to me, but see, Cece recommends these mind-bending, trippy, have you all over the place, like... If you know Cece, then you know what kind of movie she'll recommend. That's just the wavelength she on, and I love her for it. But y'all, listen, when I tell you, I had to break out my phone, and I left like 15 different voice messages recordings on my phone trying to break this movie down. Listen, I was having a fit, and just to prove to y'all, listen, I'm going to put together a little. This is what I put together for you guys. This is snippets from the 15 different recordings I had. This is like the pre-intro to the intro before I get to me and Cece breaking this down for y'all. So just listen to this. Hey Cece, I'm only 36 minutes into this movie and I'm already like, oh my god. The people on level, this guy's on level 171. He don't give a damn about hair. He's literally eating a body with maggots on it. I guess they figure a black person has nothing to... They have nothing to lose, right? People only ate what they needed. It would reach the lower levels. It's like, I'm not letting you get out because I'm not getting out. Now, some people say, level 6, I'm comfortable, I'm good. You just happen to be a level above them. But yeah, you're still in judgment of them. Meanwhile, all of you are in a system where they're playing games with you guys, literally. Level up, level down, level up, level down. Like, you're just toys with the establishment at this point. And they have you guys conditioning yourselves to judge each other. Wait a minute, it's starting to come together. Kids are not allowed in. Kids under 16 are not allowed. But obviously a kid was formed in this quote-unquote structured, unstructured system. And that's true. You want to get a message across. It depends on how you deliver that message. If you come across brash and aggressive, people aren't gonna hear you. We're judging society how we look after the less fortunate. The games that the rich play on people who are not like them. That's what they say when she's the message. Like, you make this rules like there's no kids allowed. But obviously, somebody took advantage of a woman. Okay, Cece, they just can't end a movie like that.
Let's do it.
All right. I No, because the first time I saw it, I sent you voice. I had like voice messages or whatever. I sent you like one of them, and I was listening back to them, and it's the same thing. Like this movie is so symbolic on so many levels. No pun intended.
Right, it is. Yeah, I agree.
It's an indictment. I think overall, it's an indictment about us as people and us. How really, at the end of the day, we should all be looking after each other.
Right, the humility. Absolutely. Right. I agree. I mean, it breaks it down, like talking about what humility is and all that kind of stuff. I think they did a great job showing like the eye of deprivation. You know what I'm saying? And they really went deep.
I mean, the beginnings just sets it up. It says there's 3 types of people. There's people who are above, people who are below, and people who fall. But I would add another layer. There are people who rise. There are also people who rise to the occasion. Because think about it. In order for him to get free, we would think of that as ascending. He literally had to go down
to come up. Yes, he did.
That's crazy.
Right? I mean, but like the saying, you got to get down so you can get up.
Yeah.
Because long as you up, you don't really realize, if you ain't in the right mind frame, you don't realize or acknowledge your blessings and the grace that surrounds your existence until you go down. You know what I mean? You go without, you live in lack until that time, you know? I think that's awakening. I feel like all of them had, like all of his roommates had some sort of realization moment. You don't realize the things until you don't have them, until you don't have that access, until you don't have that comfortability. And then it makes you realize, look at reality for what it is. And with that, and in that vision of looking at reality, what you gonna do now?
I mean, even what do you think about they're only allowed to bring in one object? He brought a book.
That's deep.
Right. They didn't really get into like whatever, what everyone else brought, but his first roommate brought a knife. I'm like, well, it kind of came in handy.
That one guy brought a rope. And the lady brought a dog, you know? And then the husband or the guy above on 5, when he started roommating with the black guy, the couple above them, they bought each other, which is deep, because how that's gonna look when y'all faced with something real individually as well as together. Y'all ain't gonna be ready.
Well, it kind of also shows you what kind of people they will be out on the outside too. They're selfish. It's like, okay, this guy, and I understand his psychosis at that point, because he's like, listen, I'm 5 levels away from what I perceive as freedom. But the people just 1 level above him are like, listen, if you ain't getting out, nobody getting out. If we ain't getting out, you ain't getting out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, I'm supposed to help out a black man? Like, that just shows you also what kind of people they are on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, about that. When he was saying, I heard God, I know that I'm about to get out, or I'm this close, I can get out. And my question, not my question, but my observation was like how the guys, first of all, everything is obvious. Everything is obvious. Hence, old dude, the ghost, he always said, obviously, and I think they did I'll get on technique in a second, because I love that the way they kept doing that, because everything was truly obvious. Because even though he was wrapped up in his vision and his belief and his what happened to him, as far as his experience with God, the people above him, they weren't trying to hear that. They didn't believe him. They obviously didn't believe him. He didn't see it. Mm-hmm. He didn't see it, and he could have truly been killed. everything in this movie was mad obvious. It was just the way, if the character was set up mentally to perceive it or not. I mean,
Well, I would push back against that because to any rational person, they're like, okay, you don't know how many floors there are, but you hear rumors that is more than 200. So you see how much food is presented. So the rational, logical thinker will be like, okay, we need to start rationing this food. And when he presented that to the old man's like, no, I gotta look out for myself. It's like that whole, it's like individual versus the collective. And that's, again, it's an indictment and it's shining a light on societies in general. It's like people who have this mindset, this concept of, we need to rally together to strengthen numbers. But some people they're like, no, I'm thinking of myself only. They're like, oh, well, what about the people above us? What about the people below us? And even the judgment that they had in that moment of just literally, you're just at any moment, you'd be up or down, up or down. You don't know where you're going. So the arrogance in the face of obvious humility, but it was just mind boggling. Like, wow.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you because I think they did a great job with depicting that. But about the man, the guy, he was with this whole, like you said, solidarity. Let's look out for one another because there's enough food. That concept of there's enough food and blase blase. Well, then the other guy would that be arrogance or would that be dealing with reality? You know what I'm saying? Because the other guy had been there and he's been at lower level. He was speaking through experience.
Right.
And the one guy that was all for it, which is a great thing. You know what I'm saying? But he was all for it. He wasn't necessarily speaking from the same experience. Right. He was just speaking from, his heart or morally or ethically. Right. And the other guy, not that he didn't observe ethics, which his character, we have to talk about his character. His character, the ghost, the older guy, his character was actually very, 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 very interesting to me. But he was speaking from what he knows. And the same thing translates to society. Many people think that, it's a connotation around people that sell drugs. It's a connotation around people that have addictions. However, if you talk to the person that have addictions or that sell drugs specifically, they coming from a mindset that they doing how they know. It's a survival. Right. It's more of a survival mindset versus a logical mindset.
Oh, I know you guys want to hear more of that. Trust me, we go deep. That movie, The Platform, that was one of the best movies I've seen probably within the last few years. It's now, I still believe, available for streaming on Netflix. It's called The Platform. It's a foreign movie with subtitles, but it doesn't even matter. You guys have to check it out. It's so good. To hear more of our conversation, breaking down The Platform, check out the episode For the Culture, The Platform. If you have a message for me you'd like to send, you can go to www.anchor.fm/Akila Lynch. Hit the message button, record your message, and hit send. (2021) Astroworld. Profit over people. In this episode, me and my young guest discuss our thoughts around 2021's tragedy at Astroworld, the music festival that was the brainchild of Travis Scott, where 10 people lost their lives as a result of the event, while hundreds more were injured. Why hold a concert of that magnitude in the middle of a pandemic where people were clearly not social distancing? And also, given Travis Scott's track record of inciting reckless behavior, who should be held accountable for this tragedy? First of all, it's like, why is there a concert going on in the middle of a pandemic of that size, of that magnitude?
I swear they forgot about it. I think everyone's just, not everyone, but like a lot of people are just COVID's over kind of. That's the
Really?
mentality. Yeah. Yeah, like I really don't see that many people like social distancing or like worrying about masks that much. Especially with like my generation, like those concerts, I'm not surprised they're filled up.
Yeah.
But these are the same people that would probably do it even at peak pandemic time anyways. They were never like scared of it.
They're saying how a major driver of this festival is his merch line. I think behind Supreme, behind the, remember the Supreme line?
Mm-hmm.
He was named, I think he was right behind them as like the best selling merch, and like I think starting in 2019.
Travis?
Like, yeah. Like he's very he's obviously he's marketable, but my freaking cat, man. She always does this every time I do a Zoom. She
She wants in on the conversation, then she?
No, she needs to get her act together, okay? You're either in or out. All right, let me open her. Let me go get her real quick, because otherwise we're gonna have meowing throughout this. It's gonna drive me insane. I'll be back. Like, for instance, the shirt he wore, it was like these blue, I don't know if they were kids or individuals, but they go through a door, a portal, and then they come out like with this red hornets looking image or whatever. Like, people were saying, oh, they're taking kids and they're covering them in the devils, whatever.
Yeah, like I kind of like that people are pointing stuff out, because sometimes things are too much of a coincidence or a repeating pattern for it to be like, oh, you just think you're woke, or you think like you're onto something. It's like there's too many coincidences. But Travis has always given me like a weird, like satanic vibe to him, like in him and his music or him and his merch. I think like him, and then there's like Lil Uzi Vert, and then there's just other like artists where it's like their songs or their energy they give out is very like demonic in a way.
It's dark.
And so
yeah.
So I feel like Travis Scott's whole aesthetic is that kind of weirdness to it, some dark meaning. And then I always feel like it's always like, it feels like some type of cult ritual or whatever, because they always have like Astroworld and Stormy World, and it's like this big thing with their face, and you have to like walk through their mouth. It's like this whole, like, they idolize themselves in a way. And then when you get to the stage, they have like one eye or an owl burning or whatever. It's like, you guys know what you're doing. And I think we're starting to catch on too.
Like, I think his next, I think it's a mixtape or something, but it's titled Dystopia. And it's like, bro, do you know what dystopia means? Yeah, but he's always because I looked at some of his lyrics, and it left much to be desired. Truthfully, I'm used to lyrical content with substance. You know, I'm like, what is he talking about? But I notice how they hook you with the beats and the melody, right?
Yeah.
So, and he's not the only artist that does this. A lot of them do this. They're not really saying anything, but once that music gets you, and that hook gets you, it's like they can purposely saying, but by that time, it's already in your head.
There's a lot of younger audiences that, like you said, they just pay attention to the beat, so they play that, they like that, but they don't always listen to the lyrics. And sometimes like rappers will just throw like something weird or something that sounds like it's like hinting at something more sinister in a way, and then they just like look past it. They're like, oh, they mean something else. But I feel like there's always hints.
Yeah.
Like the dystopia thing, you think he doesn't know what that word means, you know? It's like that's the whole theme and stuff going on. Or the thing at his concert where it was like, see you on the other side. People were like, no, he means like the other side of the festival or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. It's like the feeling you get from it is like weird. I feel like there's a deeper meaning than just this stuff. Because he can say a bunch of other stuff, but no, they always say something that's like ominous.
Yeah.
What wasn't ominous or had substance though was their apologies, because that was just embarrassing.
That wasn't even an apology. Just not even an apology.
He didn't apologize. He's like, we're working with the police. Just rubbing his head. I wouldn't have even put that out there. I'd rather stay silent until I got together what I wanted to say.
Yeah, like Drake, for instance, Drake kept quiet for a while, but then he eventually said something. But Drake's statement, it felt more, I mean, it could be PR, but it had more substance to it than Travis. Travis didn't even he barely even looked at the camera. You know, he kept rubbing his head, closing his eyes. Yeah. So there was a detachment there. It's like it didn't feel genuine.
Yeah, there was like a bother to him. But they're like, that's just his personality. No, I didn't see Drake's apology. I was kind of just done looking for him because they all sound the same in a way.
Yeah, no, it's
Like
like
Kylie's, Travis Scott's, like, oh, where prayers go out to the families. But like everyone says that, like you guys are the biggest influences right there. I think they should have way more substance than that. And didn't Drake go to like the club? He spent like $1 million at the club that night after all that went down. Apparently, he like went to like a strip club.
I didn't hear that. I heard they went to an after party. I don't know if that's the same one, but
I heard about the after party, but I just like on one of like the news channels that keep up with those social media things, like it was like Drake spent $1 million at like a club, I guess like later that night. I don't know how, I don't know how true all this stuff is, but
yeah.
Sometime I think that past that weekend, that same weekend. So it's just kind of like you heard what was going on, but you're still, okay, but without like any bias and stuff, if something has already happened at a concert and stuff, how much do you think like the artist should like act on that? Like, should they like not be seen out in public? Should they not post anything for a while? Should they talk about it? Should they act like normal since it's already done? Like, how do you think they should be acting?
Everyone responds differently to tragedy and grief. I know it doesn't look right with his quote unquote apology. It just, I don't know. It's hard to say. I know everyone is different, but I think with him, I mean, there was a pressure for him to say something. He has to address this. In some instances, your PR people, they want you to get ahead of it before, the public of the court of public opinion starts to form. But I mean, you literally had this instance where people were, and that's just this generation, they're live recording this on TikTok and Instagram or whatever. So we see what's going on. And so by the time it filters down to him, and then that lapse of time when he addresses it, it doesn't look right, according to some people. And some people are like, well, maybe he should have stopped, I'm talking about the apology, stop, really articulate what he wants to say, and then address it without it feeling polished by a PR team or, to where it sounds genuine, because that quote unquote apology, that there was something scripted. Lacking. It was lacking something. I'm like,
emotion.
I'm like,
true emotion.
Especially if I heard like a 9-year-old.
It's like
we're not even mentioning the hundreds of people who got injured and some had to be taken to the hospital. Like, we just don't know what's going to go on with them. And then you had the people who, they passed away there, or they passed away later in the hospital. Like, it's just, again, I don't know if he's just caught up in this machinery and he's just going through the process, but I mean, at some point, think about it. He has, I think right now is it over 200 lawsuits? It's growing. It's growing. So he's going to be stuck in court for probably, this is going to drag out for years. And so how do you still participate in a quote unquote machinery, because you still have contracts that you're obliged to record label, and then how do you divorce yourself from, you still have to deal with this as a human being. You have the artist and then you got the human being. So I think he has a lot of reckoning with himself that he has to filter through.
But what if he can't, because this is all sacrifice stuff that he had to go through with whatever sacrifice ritual stuff like that?
I don't know. I'm not there yet on that conspiracy level. I'm not there yet. I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I know, I'm looking at that, at his past art, and even with like I said, the advertising, the messaging he puts out, he kind of deals in that dark energy stuff, and that will take a toll on you. It will change you, especially if you lean into it, which he seems to be doing, but I don't know. Time will tell. Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Do you have Spotify? If so, turn on the notification button. You can also find the Conversation Piece podcast on Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, RadioPublic.com, Breaker.audio, and Anchor.fm/Akila Lynch, spelled AQUILA-LYNCH. Thank you for your support. Any last words you want to say?
No, this was a good convo. I think we covered everything. like that I wanted to talk about, and like more that goes more in depth in it. I think we touched on some good points though. And when we drop bangers like this, stuff of substance, they need to be aware.
You're so silly. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Conversation Piece Podcast. I am your humble host, Akila, requesting that you join me again. So, until then, be safe, love, and value yourself so that you can love and value others. I bid you adieu with the greeting, Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you.